Now it's absolutely a pleasure to introduce Ruth Green, Executive Director Emerita of CHC, to present the Ruth R. Green Advocacy Award. Don't come too fast, because we have a lot to say about it. Ruth's involvement in CHC, or the League as Ruth knew it, spans more than half a century. Her insights and strategic counsel have left an indelible mark on this agency and its staff and its executive directors that followed her and continue to be important to CHC today. Her executive leadership and tireless work on behalf of people with hearing loss truly exemplifies the meaning of advocacy. And now it's my pleasure to invite Ruth up to the podium to present the Ruth R. Green Advocacy Award.
Thank you, Lori. It is great to be here and an absolute pleasure to be able to present the Ruth R. Green Advocacy Award to Ruth Bernstein. I have known Ruth for many years. When I was looking for people willing to work on advocacy, Ruth stepped up to the plate and has continued to work relentlessly on behalf of people with hearing loss. Since the time I met Ruth, I was always impressed by her passionate commitment to creating access for people with hearing loss. You see, it's important to remember that when Ruth and I started to work together on these issues, the landscape was very different. There was no American with Disabilities Act in place. During my tenure as executive director of the League, ABC, Advocates for Better Communication, was founded as an advocacy group allied with the League. Ruth served as travel chair and developed a kit on travel access. Since then, Ruth's work has continued and grown. Excuse me. She is a member of the Hearing Loss Association of America and a board member of its New York City chapter. Ruth has worked pro bono with cultural institutions to make them hearing accessible, including the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Bronx Zoo, MoMA, just to name a few. In fact, she recently participated in MoMA's staff training video about working with people with disabilities, and she is a regular contributor to the Sound Advice column in CHC's e-newsletter, The Buzz. In April 2013, Ms. Bernstein was inducted into the Hunter College Alumni Hall of Fame in recognition of her advocacy work for people with hearing loss. Ruth is a true advocate in every sense of the word, and in recognition of her commitment to improving the quality of life for people with hearing loss, it is my honor and privilege to introduce Ruth Bernstein and present her with the Ruth R. Green Advocacy Award.
Thank you, Ruth. I just want to show you a small piece of technology that I've introduced to this meeting. This is my iPad, and it's streaming what's being written on the captions over there, so I don't have to turn around and read them. You have no idea what it's like to have somebody talking about you and you can't understand what they're saying. Thank you, Ruth, for your words and for choosing me for this honor. You've been my mentor, guide, and friend throughout my advocacy years and given me a wonderful example. Many thanks to CHC Board President Jeff Cohn and board members. I'm a shining example of CHC and its compassion, since I've been a client here almost as long as Ellen Lafarge, who is my audiologist, has been here. Thank you to Laurie Hannon, Nancy Nadler, and the CHC staff for honoring me. Thank you, Commissioner Calise, for your insightful comments. I really like the idea of all the people with disabilities advocating for each other. Arlene, we've been fortunate to work together. We make a terrific team. Thank you, friends and family, and board members of the Hearing Loss Association of America, New York City chapter, my fellow advocates and personal cheering squad. I'm honored by your presence. The email announcing that I was to receive the Ruth R. Green Advocacy Award arrived just as Joe Gordon, Terry Chayefsky, and I completed a meeting at Lincoln Center to discuss hearing access. I was honored, excited, and pleased, and I thought Nancy's timing was terrific. In 1968, I learned I had a progressive bilateral hearing loss. Since then, I've had a strong support system of professionals, family, and friends helping me cope with this invisible disability and become an effective advocate. Thank you all. Ruth Green was executive director when I became a lead client in the 1980s. Ellen Lafarge became, and still is, my audiologist and lifesaver. My file is so big, she can use it for weightlifting. When the Americans with Disabilities Act passed in 1990, all this stuff keeps repeating, because it affected all of us. It gave the backing of the federal government to advocacy for people with all disabilities. Ruth Green recognized the most effective advocates for people with hearing loss are those of us who cope with it every day. She was instrumental in creating ABC, the Advocates for Better Communication. At that time, I had a challenging job as a convention planner and was pleased to be a founding member. In addition to Ruth Green and myself, other founding members here are Joe Gordon and Arlene Romoff. ABC's work, as Arlene told you, included access to Broadway theaters, hospitals, movie houses, cell phone issues, TV captioning, travel, hotels, museums, all the areas that affect our lives. When ABC disbanded, we continued our advocacy efforts at the Hearing Loss Association of America, New York City chapter. We request access with courtesy, patience, and persistence. Our goal, win-win outcomes. Here are some examples of my advocacy efforts. I write a consumer blog for CHC's Buzz, reporting on my adventures and successes and some of my failures. In April 2013, I was the first person with hearing loss ever to be inducted into the Hunter College Alumni Hall of Fame. It was their 41st ceremony. It took 8 weeks of explaining and pleading for their staff to arrange hearing access. At the very last minute, with the help of Dr. Lafarge and our captioner, Lauren Schechter, we had CART and an assistive listening system. I was the first speaker. Having a last name that begins with B helps. The fifth honoree said, "I want to thank Ms. Bernstein for making this event hearing accessible. My father has a cochlear implant. Without these arrangements, he could not have participated." The hard work and aggravation of those 8 weeks was worth every gray hair I have. In May 2014, My grandson, Aaron, graduated from Babson College. Aaron and I worked with the school's accessibility staff to arrange for CART and an assistive listening system. Both were supplied, despite my repeated requests for CART for the audience of 4,000, one-third of whom were over 65 and would have been delighted to read what was being said. The captions were on a laptop computer only I could see. In May 2015, my granddaughter graduates from Penn State. I'm already working on access. Tomorrow, I'm attending a reception at MoMA for participants in a staff training video about dealing with people with 7 disabilities. I talk about hearing loss. The video and reception are being captioned at my request. The number of people with hearing loss grows every year. Everyone involved is adjusting to enormous, rapid changes in technology, adding new areas for advocacy, along with those we are working on already. As an advocate, my wish for the future is that everyone here, whether or not you have a hearing loss, champion our needs so we have access whenever and wherever we need it. Thank you.